You ever wonder why we're here? It's one of life's great mysteries, isn't it?
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Always Open. I'm your host, Barbara Dunkelman, and today I am joined by...
Jolie. What's up, everyone?
And
Jack Pattillo. Hi, how are you?
I'm fantastic. Or you're asking them, not me.
Yeah. I didn't appreciate you said welcome back. Like we had started the episode, stepped away, and came back. It's like, oh, welcome back. Now we're still going. You missed the first word I said, but now welcome back.
Just in case there's one person watching these back to back. Just in case.
Someone's binging right now.
Binging always open.
Exactly. That's the only way to do it. Well, thanks for joining me.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me back. It's been a long time since I've been on Always Open.
It's been a very long time. Yeah. I think we only had you on like once.
I think once. I think it was you, Hannah, Mariel, and me on an episode. And I think there's some good gifs of that one too. I think I popped up in some gifs of that.
How long ago was that?
About 10 years.
Not actually.
No. Geez, that would have been, what, 4 years ago at this point, almost? 3 years?
So it's been 3 years since we stopped doing the show. So
okay.
for those of you watching and maybe just got into Always Open, we used to do the show many years ago. We kind of took a hiatus, revamped the show, revamped kind of the structure, the look of it, etc. But we used to do it for, I think we did 4 years of it, starting in 2017, ended about 2020 or so.
Okay.
So yeah, you were probably on in like 2019.
Yeah, I was. Now you were scraping the bottom of the barrel for guests. And you're like, I guess we put Jack on.
No,
here,
I love having you on.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And Joe, this is your first time.
Yeah, it's my first time being here. I'm excited to be always open.
Let's take that sound clip, and that'll be the promo for the show. I'm so excited to be always
open. Yay!
I want to just ask something real quick. Right before we started recording the show, Joe, I've known you for a little bit.
Yes.
You know, you started working with us about a year ago.
Yeah, it's been a little over a year now.
Give or take. Mm-hmm. Found out for the first time that you had brain damage.
Yeah, I actually...
Legit, not like goofing around.
Yeah, no. 2017, I suffered a brain bleed from basically just getting jumped.
Yeah.
And at the time, it didn't... The doctor was like, it's so slight, it's like so minimal that it shouldn't impact anything, but we have to keep an eye on it.
Right.
And like nothing ever really happened, but I developed a stutter.
Yeah.
And my thinking, like my thought process got a little more jumbled up.
So you're really able to tell the effects of it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like as time went on, I was like, this is stuff I never used to do. This is stuff that like I used to be able to speak really clearly on, think about clearly, and now it's like a lot of brain fog.
Okay.
Jeez.
And yeah, that was a little scary.
How did it I know you said you...
It was something real stupid. I was at a house party. Everyone was super drunk, including myself. And all I remember was we were sitting in a circle talking about whatever. And the host of the party, the person who owned the house, I did not know these people. I had come with one friend who knew these people, and they were living there. And they're like, "Hey, come over. I haven't seen you in a really long time." I was like, "Cool, whatever." And in his drunken state, he thought that I was trying to take his girlfriend from him.
Okay.
And
like physically or like...
No, it's just like, I guess he thought, like, someone told him that I was like spitting at his girl. Right?
Yeah.
Just like, I was
Neck
just
out on
like,
his lady.
yeah. And I was just like, I wasn't doing that. And he came outside and he like pushed me up against the garage door and he was like, not sexually, but he.
Thank you for clarifying that.
Now he was trying to take you.
Yeah, he was trying to take me. No, he pushed me up and he was just like getting in my face, and I was like, dude, I don't want any problems. If you want me to leave, I'll leave. I was not doing that.
Yeah.
I apologize. And then he just swung at me, and then all his boys that were outside started wailing on me.
Oh my God.
My friend that was there with me, that came with me, was helping me out. Because at that point, like, I had already been hit real fucking hard.
Oh, yeah.
I got stomped on the head.
Holy shit.
And even my friend who lived with these people helped me out, like his other friends, because they were all out there and they're like, nothing happened. I don't know why you came out, and we're like freaking out.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize how bad it was. Like, my friend drove me home, obviously.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so you didn't even go straight to the hospital?
No, I didn't go to the hospital at all.
Oh my
I ended up in a gas station parking lot.
Okay. Instead of a hospital. Got it.
And one of my friends, I guess,
care.
had called
Yeah.
the police, and they met us there, and they were like,
Okay.
honestly, I don't even know if you can press charges because it's going to be a he said, she said kind of thing.
Yeah.
And of course, they're not going to give up their boy for someone that they didn't know.
Right.
And they're not going to really like snitch on him or anything. So I was just like, it's whatever. And I called my mom at 4 a.m. I was like, Mom, do we have Band-Aids at home?
Band-Aids.
I thought I had just suffered like a minor cut on my forehead.
Just stitch that guy
Yeah.
up right there.
I got home and my entire left side of my face, from like the little left to the middle of my forehead all the way down below my left cheekbone, was completely raw, and on my cheekbone it was down to the bone.
Jeez.
So I had been dragged across the concrete.
And your friends who took you to the gas station didn't.
I'm not gonna lie.
Notice
they were
this?
also drunk,
Okay.
but they were in obviously a better state than I was, and obviously it's irresponsible. It was terrible.
Hey, live, laugh,
right?
love.
But
You know
they drove
saying.
me home, and I asked my mom, I was like, do you have Band-Aids at home? She's like, what happened? Something happened. I got home not realizing how my face looked because I had not looked in the mirror
Yeah.
yet. And my mom freaked out. She
Rightfully
just
so.
she started like freaking out, like, what happened? Do you need to go to the hospital? I was like, it's not that bad. I just need to go to the bathroom. Did you get the Band-Aids? And I went and looked in the mirror, and I was like, oh, what the fuck? I was like, what happened? I was like, I didn't realize that happened.
You just put a Band-Aid right across right there.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, and
I'm
I
all
didn't.
healed up.
I ended up not going to the ER at the time either because I think my health insurance. It's weird stuff with health insurance, and like me
Yeah.
growing up with my financial situation, I just didn't go to the hospital unless I absolutely needed to. And I ended up,
one would think this was a
Yeah.
absolutely needed.
And then
treatment.
I went to just like a regular physician's appointment because that was not all messed up. They were still taking the insurance, and they basically were like, you should have gone to the hospital last night. Like, you're very lucky that nothing else happened. And then they monitored me for a couple hours. They said, I'm free to go home. Just make sure I'm not home alone and that I do not fall asleep for the next, 18 hours. And
That's hard to do on a normal.
oh,
day.
yeah, it's very,
yeah.
very tough. And they were just like, it's a precaution. Like, the X-rays, the MRIs, like, they don't really show anything. There may be, like, a tiny, tiny little bleed that happened, but it wasn't, like, a big brain bleed. So they
Yeah.
weren't, I guess, super concerned. I don't really know. I just kind of accepted what they said. I was just really thankful to be basically okay, right?
Yeah, alive after that.
And
Don't mess
yeah.
with head stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was like, I've suffered a lot of concussions from dumb stuff before, and like also like car accidents, but that was like the worst one I had. Like, I could not think straight for like a couple weeks. It was like really like
Yeah,
everything
dude.
just felt really off. Yeah.
And you
that-
fit in perfectly with Achievement Hunter because of that.
You know what? Because of that, I'm perfectly fitting in with everybody.
Yeah, you
here.
would have been way too well spoken and intelligent before.
Have you ever passed out, fallen over, passed
I
out
have
before?
never.
I've once in my
You?
life. Yeah.
And did you injure yourself at all?
No. I not much less interesting than what Joe went through.
I don't know if it's interesting.
I was at my computer desk when I was in college, like in my apartment I was in. It was a 2-bedroom apartment, 4 guys, all, it was, whatever, it was cheap. And I had my feet kicked up on my bed and I was on my computer typing and my feet were above my hips. And I got up real quick and I went to the sort of door that led to our living room area. And my roommate was in the living room and I went, I'm going to pass out. And then the next thing I remember, I was sitting where my TV stand used to be. And I was like, ugh, and I kind of shook it off, and I got up, and my TV stand was basically this long wooden thing with a TV on top, and I basically fell into it, pushed it over like a domino effect.
Oh my god, dude.
And I got up, went to the living room. My roommate had the phone, and he just hung it up. He looked at me, and he hung it up. And I was like, whoa, what? I guess I must have passed out there. That was weird. He goes, do you know how long you were out? And I was like immediately, because anytime someone says, you assume it's been an hour. And he's like, 15 seconds. And I was like,
why would
thanks,
you
dude.
start
Appreciate
the
it.
Yeah, that's.
Do you know how long you've been out?
It's been 3 days.
Yeah, and then
It's been
he
17
apparently he hung up the phone because he called 911, and then he
then when
saw
he
me get
came
up,
to-
and then he hung it up, and so about 30 minutes later, police showed up, and they were like, "Hey, we got a no call from this number. Is everyone okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I passed out. My roommate called and then hung up like an idiot." And it's like,
Wow.
they're like, "You all
Yeah, at
right?"
least
I'm like,
complete the phone
"I'm
call.
fine. It was a head rush," and they're like, "Okay," and that was it. So that's the only time I passed out.
I feel like
So-
Jack is the only person I know who's so self-aware that he goes, I'm gonna pass out now.
Yes. Like,
Well, have you ever the thing where it's like when you get like a head rush and you have those little black dots
Yeah.
coming? It was that, but like on a different level where I'm like, uh-oh.
Like immediately.
Yeah,
just-
that tunnel vision, and it was just shrinking. And it was like, and gone.
That's
and it was
happened to
out.
me before, where I'm like, I feel like I'm gonna pass out. Whenever that happens, I immediately sit on the floor.
Oh,
'Cause
smart
I'm
move.
like, if I'm gonna pass out, I want to be at least sitting. So if I
Yeah, yeah.
fall, I won't hit my
You know,
head.
you set all the knives up, and then you sit down, and then
Bed of nails.
yeah, exactly.
Well, I'm glad that you're okay now.
hey, I'm
It obviously is going very well. I was going to ask you before you really told this story, like maybe this is just an age thing because I've recognized I am by far the oldest at this table, but I've recognized that the older I've gotten, the more clumsy I've gotten. Like where I'm
Oh,
like, oh my
yeah.
God, like I'll just drop shit. Like I'll have my toothbrush. I'm like, oh, it's on the floor, and it's like, uh-oh, that's weird. And it's definitely increased as I've gotten older. I don't know if it's like
Well,
a
it's
hand-eye
your
thing or what.
dexterity, I think, too, becomes.
I think yeah, I think it might
lessened.
just literally just be hand-eye coordination, right?
Yeah.
As you get older, like,
Possibly,
the
I
body
don't know.
slows down maybe a little bit.
Yeah.
I've definitely got a little bit clumsier as I've gotten older.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, like even like I'm only in my late 20s, and even then, like I can tell a difference from like 5 years ago to now.
Yeah,
So
Yeah, I drop more stuff.
yeah.
We the other night, Trevor and I had some friends over to play some board games, and there was like a bunch of cards and pieces, and I kept trying to shuffle the cards, and like when you try to shuffle, but cards kind of get in the way of each other and like slip out. That would happen and fall on the floor. I'd go to pick them up and drop something else as I was picking that up, and I was just like, "Don't! Oh no! Oh, sorry!"
playing dominoes with a bunch of different things.
You just turn into Mr. Bean all of a sudden.
Pretty much.
Okay.
I was inspired. All right. Well, I'm really happy to have you guys on the show
Yeah,
today.
absolutely.
Got a couple questions that I want to get into. Something that I was really interested in talking about. Both of you are streamers.
I would say I stream. I don't know
stream,
if I would
okay.
call myself a streamer.
I
but
definitely,
yes.
yeah, I definitely. That's how I got here. Was I was streaming for
Yeah.
about 4 years.
Oh wow.
Uh-huh.
And how long have you been streaming for?
I mean, technically, I've had like an account on Twitch where I stream for over 6 years now.
Yeah.
But I've kind of gone up and down. Where like I'll do it for like really intense for a bit and then slow down, and then I'm now getting back to where I have like kind of a stable routine
Somewhat
where I stream like 2 days
consistency.
a week.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Well, I would still call you. You're a professional streamer.
I dabble in
More
the
so than
streaming.
me.
Okay. I'll give you that much.
But I'm curious, when you were first starting out, what was the biggest challenge in getting started? Because you are doing this thing on your own. You're putting yourself out there. It's very different than what we do here, where we're very collaborative and you have a whole team of people who help you, brainstorm things and film things and make things happen. But when it's just yourself, I imagine that's pretty
Yeah,
challenging.
the pressure is a little bit higher.
Yeah, I'm curious to hear Joe's like response to this because him and I have the exact opposite approaches to it. Where he started as a solo streamer and then came to Achievement Hunter, whereas I was an Achievement Hunter and I started solo streaming.
That's
so
true.
Yeah, you
Complete
went.
opposite.
You kind of
Yeah.
came from content that was always VOD content, but also like a little bit more of a professional setting.
Yeah.
Whereas I was just in my house all the time, right? So, for me, I think probably was the imposter syndrome.
Oh yeah.
And I've always struggled with self-esteem issues. Like my own, like how I view myself amongst other people, my peers. But it was really tough because like streaming's blown up a lot in the last few years, and so the pool of creators has only gotten bigger.
Right.
and
Especially
the-
during quarantine.
Yeah, and the discoverability got a lot lower. So the people that I was really talking to on a day-to-day basis or like creating content with a lot of time, they were always bigger than me. And for me, I felt like, oh, I don't belong here, but I'm gonna try to, but I don't feel like I deserve to. Like it was just a really unhealthy mentality to have.
What drove you to do it in the first place then, if that's kind of the way you were feeling?
So it's funny. Oh man, I got into streaming because I suffered a concussion at work.
Joe, I'm worried.
I'm
about
noticing
you,
a
man.
repeating pattern
I'm
here,
worried
Joe.
about you.
So I was working at a warehouse at the time. I was operating forklifts. I was on one of the cherry pickers that goes up with you go up with it all the way up to the top of the bay and come back down. And someone had left something like a package, like a really heavy box on the top railing of it, what's supposed to protect you from boxes falling on you.
Yeah.
And as I was going up, and I let the controls go, and
Yeah.
it came to a stop. The box fell
On
and
your
hit my head.
Oh, jeez.
I actually, and I lost my job for it because they denied my workers' comp, and because I missed 3 days because of the concussion, I got terminated from my job.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
That feels like something you could sue for.
Oh, absolutely,
Yeah.
I could have, but dumb kid. But also,
It's
I didn't.
hard when you're young and you don't really like
Yeah.
understand
It's
the
weird.
processes.
I already went through like accidents and attorneys and stuff. Like it's just so much, and
Yeah.
like I knew then, like if I had done something, I wouldn't have followed through with it, and it would just be a bigger hassle for me in the long run. And I was just like, whatever. So I started streaming. And I was dating someone at the time whose brother was actually a decently big creator, and they kind of pushed me to do it, and he helped push me along, kind of like helped jumpstart it in the beginning, and I just really enjoyed it. Like I'd always played games since I was a kid. I'd always enjoyed like talking to people when I was like playing games or like hanging out with my friends. So
Yeah.
it was just something that kind of went from I'm just gonna try it out just to do it, and then it ended up being something I really really enjoy doing.
Yeah.
So
That's cool. Yeah, it's wild how important it is to have those people to help kind of push you along. Like so rarely do you see people like I'm going to stream with no support at all and then grow into something big. So
It's tough.
yeah, it's so nice to be able to have like those additional people to help out. And you know, sort of with that, when I decided to start streaming, I was fortunate that I came from Achievement Hunter because I already had an audience out there that knew who I was. So this was just that audience going like, okay, what can Jack do on his own? And like for me, the hardest part was honestly like when you're with a group of people, when you're making content with a group of people, you don't always have to be on. I mean, obviously you want to try to be on all the time, or you want to try to be like funny all the time, but you know you've got the safety net of other people
Well, it's
picking up
also-
the slack.
Even in group content too, you could be what they call the straight man, where it's like you're just there to kind of help amplify other people's comedic
Yeah.
moments and to just be like the serious one amongst the funny. So it just kind of builds everyone and kind of balances out that team dynamic. But yeah,
Yeah.
when you're alone, it's completely different.
Yeah, I mean, like I've always kind of played the support role anytime we've made content. You know, like I've always kind of been that straight man, or sort of like, you know, my goal anytime we made content with Achievement Hunter is to make Jeff laugh. Like that was always my goal, just because like he was my target audience. And so like going into streaming, it was interesting because it was like this was me without a safety net. It's like I have to keep talking, and it's a muscle that you literally have to exercise, because when you first do it, it's like that was exhausting, and then you get better at it and start interacting with the audience as well, and it becomes like this sort of give and take, and it's a lot of fun. I really enjoy doing it, and what I love about streaming is that I can play the things that I want to play.
Yeah.
You know, like it is tough because there are games, you know, like sort of the meta out there where it's like, you know, these games are hot right now and this is what
Yeah.
people want to see.
People want to see these being played.
And you can play that game if you want. You can do that kind of stuff. I mean, me personally, I'm like, I can just play what I want to play. I mean, that being said, there's certain games that I know I play and I enjoy that do better than others.
Sure.
Like anytime I jump into Minecraft, it's like I watch my numbers blow up compared to what they're normally at. And it's like, okay.
You're
and-
also very good at Minecraft.
yeah, I mean, but I enjoy Minecraft. But it's like I don't always want to play Minecraft, you know. And so it's like, all right, I'll try something different. And you'll see like the numbers decline. It's like, oh, that sucks, but that's kind of the game you play, and that's why I'm very lucky to be here, where I have a 9-to-5 job, and then I do streaming on the side. Like that's an additional thing I do, and I have a lot of fun doing it. And so it kind of gives me another additional creative outlet to sort of do what I want to do. And so, because like a game, I mean, like I've been playing Satisfactory on my streams right now, and that game is like very slow. It's literally like a factory building game where I can spend 4 hours making one thing that makes motors.
Have
and it's
you
like
played that
I
with
love
Gus
it.
yet? Because Gus plays Factorio, which is
yeah.
I think a very
You
similar
still playing
one.
Satisfactory?
I love Satisfactory.
Man.
I can't stop playing it,
Man,
man.
we started playing that game like weeks and weeks ago.
Dude, we did it for Pilot Week.
Actually, it's not even weeks. It's months. I've been gone for a little while, so my concept of time has just disappeared.
Super diluted.
Yeah.
No, we did it for Pilot Week, and that game is just so much fun. It's like like that game was made for me. It's a game where it's all about automation. It's Factorio from a first person perspective.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, it's literally almost identical.
I think also it's interesting with streaming. To me, I feel like the biggest benefit is just it's that getting to do what you want to do, what you feel like you're in the mood to play at that moment or to do or talk about or whatever it is, and just hoping that whatever audience is there is going to support that and enjoy whatever you're putting out there. But I do imagine like trying to chase those numbers could get to you.
Yeah. I mean, like I can't imagine, some of the stress, like Ray has gone on to a very successful career in streaming, and it's like that's got to be overwhelming because like he's shouldering all of that burden. You know, like there's so many people watching those guys. Like Jeremy has this massive audience and it's fantastic. But it's like that's got to be tough to deal with. Like I'm happy with like I get 100 or 200 people watching me. I'm like this is great. Like these are all very like, and also I feel like you kind of build the community that you put out there. So you kind of get what you give. And I have a very kind of like very happy, very kind of peaceful sort of vibe. Yeah. And so like my community is going to be a lot more chill than say someone like Michael's community. Like they're going to be very kind of like loud and sort of echo what they see from him. And it's like that's great. But I do appreciate that there's like I have that space where it's like okay, these people kind of they get the vibe I'm going for and they understand that, and it's not like super chaotic and wild.
I love that.
What is your community like?
Yeah, how would you describe
mine.
the Joe community. They've all had head injuries.
Yeah, they're all coming off concussions.
They're all very kind. I would say very rowdy though.
Yeah.
And that's just like the content that I was making, which I would still make like even more so here at Achievement.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think for the most part, they're all really great and really sweet, actually.
Yeah.
A lot of people, you think internet culture and you think just like memes and people always just like trying to shit on you and stuff. But like most of the time, a lot of people in my streams are very sweet. However, I haven't streamed in so long. It's just been so busy with other stuff.
Yeah.
That I actually get messages sometimes from people going like, "Where you at? Like,
hey, buddy.
I miss you.
Like I miss you. Like, hey, I'm waiting for you to come back, like better than ever."
They're just sitting in your Twitch chat, just being like,
they're typing on it day 395 of
etching it on the wall, the marks. No, it is fun though, because like whenever you finish streaming, like I stream during the week or whatever, and it's always fun because you raid other channels, and so I follow almost everyone who streams at Rooster Teeth, and it's like Larry always goes late, and Blizz. I send a lot of people over to Blizz.
that boy.
And that it's such a whiplash of energy going from my stuff because I'm very family friendly, very safe. That I'm like, okay, guys, I'm gonna send you to Blizz. I don't know what they're up to right now.
He might be putting the microphone in his whole mouth.
Yeah. So I'm like, just a heads up if you want to step away and like if you're not into that kind of stuff, just giving you a fair warning now. But okay, good luck. And just rate them and it's like have fun.
It's like flipping a switch.
Yeah.
It's,
like,
it's time for late night TV.
Yeah.
That's how it was for me. I was on that end of like
you were the chaos one.
I was the chaos. Yeah, when I was streaming, I used to be really loud and like pretty much screaming all the time. Which I don't do anymore.
Clips.
Yeah, I don't do anymore because obviously it's hard to do that in a group setting. Like, everyone, everyone's doing their thing, and you gotta find a really good balance and like, harmony with it. But when you're by yourself, if you want to do it, do it.
To give you perspective, my most rated channel out of everyone that I follow is Turtles and Chill, which is literally it's a turtle tank with like 4 turtles in it, and they just play like chill
like
music.
All right, hold on, I gotta go subscribe.
Oh no, Turtles and Chill is awesome. I love those guys.
There's also a stream where it's like it's just an otter. It's just otter swimming in like a pool or something.
I would watch that all day. Give me a kitten cam. Give me a puppy cam.
I am underutilizing Twitch, apparently. I need to find these channels.
You're on the wrong,
I found my people.
side of Twitch.
I am. I'm here sitting watching you guys. What am I doing with my
you
life?
made a huge mistake.
I feel like my shopping list is never empty. First, I'm out of paper towels, then I run out of trash bags, then I need groceries, and the list just goes on and on. It's time to stop spending your hard-earned money without getting anything in return, and that's where Ibotta comes in. With Ibotta, you can earn cash back on every shopping trip, and it's so easy to set up. All you have to do is enter your loyalty account or upload your receipt after you shop. And you could get cash back on hundreds of grocery items from produce to personal care to pantry goods. Plus, the average Ibotta user earns $120 a year in real cash back. I love using Ibotta. It's literally the easiest thing ever, and being able to upload your receipt after the fact is great. You don't even have to prepare, which is great for people like me who might just need to buy something on the fly. Cannot recommend it enough. And right now, Ibotta is offering our listeners $5 just for trying it out. So you could use the code OPEN when you register. Just go to the App Store or Google Play Store and download the free Ibotta app and use the code OPEN. That's IBOTTA in the Google Play or App Store and use the code OPEN. Thank you, Ibotta. Now, back to the show.
Well, something I wanted to also talk to you about that I think everyone deals with in one capacity or another is burnout. And I think for us as people who work really hard, but also are in front of a camera and need to perform and put on, a happy, fun face. Sometimes it's really hard to keep that going when you are burnt out. So we do have a question from the audience, and it says, "Hello, Always Open friends. How do you guys cope with burnout? I've been experiencing it quite intensely to the point where I don't feel like doing anything at all. I would love to hear your advice."
Well, I say, you turn the music up really loud. And when you're playing Paradise, look for a good car, one that, has that can jump through the air very, very well, but also has good hand. No, I would say for burnout, I mean, I've been here for forever. Like, I am now the 4th most senior employee at Rooster Teeth. So
Are you serious?
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
Jack.
Yeah, and so I've been around a long time, and I've gone through my phases of stuff. And for me, the key to avoiding burnout is to always challenge yourself and always try to find something new that you can do. I mean, like, when COVID hit, we all kind of hit this point where it was like, it just sucked. Like, everything sucked. And Jeff, him and I would go have coffee every now and then, and he's like, you need to do something. He's like, I can tell you're fading right now. You need to do something. He's like, come up with something that you're into, and let's do something about it. And around then, it was
excites you.
Yeah, we were spinning up a lot of podcasts around then. He's like, what's something you'd be into? He's like, come back next week. Tell me some ideas. I'm like, all right. And so I was like, I'd love to do like a space podcast. I'd love to do, maybe something about like building. And then I love theme parks. And he goes, okay, yeah, like of those, what would you do? I'm like, theme parks. And he's like, I thought you were going to say space. And so, yeah. So
what could have been?
Yeah, we started up Annual Pass. That's been like over a year and a half at this point now. I think we're approaching 2 years, as a matter of fact.
And where can people find Annual Pass, by the way? Quick little plug.
Anywhere you listen to podcasts, or if you go to youtube.com/annual pass, you can buy a cool shirt like this one I'm wearing if you're watching a video version of the show.
And if you're not, go to the All Good Knowers YouTube channel to check out the video version of the show.
There you go. So, but yeah, and it was one of those things where it's like, what am I passionate about? And what is something I can speak intelligently on? And it's like, I've loved theme parks my whole life. And the more the content I watch is the content I want to make.
Yeah.
And so that's the stuff that I'm into. That's why I stream Satisfactory, because like that's the stuff I watch. I literally watch people build factories on YouTube, and it's like, okay, like that's something I'm into. I want to do that. Like,
absolutely.
I watch theme park content,
well,
and so
that's kind of how we got started here.
Yeah.
Is people making content that they would want to watch themselves, and that the things that they enjoy themselves.
Exactly.
And hoping that there's enough people out there who are like them.
And that's a scary thing too, is because like if you're doing one thing for long enough, at some point you're going to hit a wall where you're like, oh, and you just don't want to do it anymore.
Yeah.
And the key is, instead of just giving up on it, is like, okay, how can I reroute this around this wall? Like,
Sure.
what can I do to change it up enough that I find interest in it again, even if that means scaling it back, if that's trying something different, but still taking the same, take a different approach to the same thing. But yeah, I mean, like it's tricky. Burnout is 100% a thing. And I would just say, just remind yourself what made you passionate about that thing, and try to find that spark again. Like, what ignited that in you? What made you want to do that? And try to make that happen again, or at least try a different way of going about it.
Mm-hmm. I think for burnout, I think it's really important, especially in the States and North America in general. There's such a work culture.
Yeah.
And I need to be working hard. I need to be busy all the time. And that's a really unhealthy kind of mentality to keep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like recognizing when you're feeling overwhelmed, or like you're taking on too much, or even just like if you need to take a day or two. I know different workplaces and different careers and different paths, like it's not always possible to do that.
Yeah.
And it's tough, but even just a mental health day if you need it, or, I have this rule when I get home that I don't think or talk about work for at least 2 hours.
Okay.
And it's kind of like a personal boundary I've set, where like if there is something I want to work on in the evening, I'll like have dinner, I'll maybe watch some stuff, I'll do some stuff on my phone, I'll read, whatever it is for at least 2 hours. And then I'm like, okay, now I could work on this. So it gives you that kind of separation of
Yeah, you
work
get to
and
decompress
home.
a little bit and
little bit.
kind of compartmentalize what's going on in your life.
Yeah. But I have experienced major burnout many times in the last couple of years, especially during quarantine.
Yeah.
And that was really tough because it was work and home were the same thing. So there was no separation of being fully engrossed in work and life and everything like that. And then your own personal space is now also your workspace. So you just felt like you were around it constantly. So trying to like separate that, even if it's physically or mentally the best you can, and like setting those boundaries for yourself is like very important if you can do that.
Yeah, I think quarantine was especially tough for us, like at Rooster Teeth, because we're creators that work in larger groups, and so we all use Discord or Zoom or something like that. But even those programs with like a 1/10 of a second delay when you're trying to do comedy, when you're trying to do improv stuff.
Oh yeah,
having that where it's like,
messes up the comedic timing of everything, and
it's brutal.
It got exhausting.
I think it's different for me because at least with quarantine, like it seems like it really hit you guys hard. For me, it felt like any other day.
Right, because you were just solo creator doing your thing.
Yeah, I mean,
you work from home already.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess the burnout was still there, but it wasn't as prevalent. Like I think I've experienced like major burnout in the last couple of months, just like between work and home life and a lot of other stuff going on. Like it just felt like it was dogpiling.
Yeah.
And like, to be honest, another question is like, how do you cope with it? I didn't cope with it. I think that's what a lot of people do. A lot of people kind of push everything to the side and it's like, I'll handle it. Like I got it.
Did it ever kind of bubble up to the surface for you?
Oh yeah, it did. And like that's I was gone for basically like 2 months from here, and it was really unhealthy because I was trying to go on a lot of things that weren't related to work, but then in the back of my mind with everything I was doing, I was thinking, oh, well, like I want to go in today, or like I feel like I'm missing out a lot this week. I want to go in. But then like trying to set that boundary, like I know if I go, it's not going to be a good thing.
You're not going to be able to perform your best.
I'm not going to be able to be productive or really like be present in the moment. And I would say like, at least with burnout, really try and identify what it is you're burning out on, because sometimes things just dogpile in your life and you feel like it's everything, but it realistically could just be one thing, one really big thing that makes everything else that's pretty small.
It feels like it culminates with everything.
Like usually would be insignificant. Feels like the weight of the world is falling on your shoulders.
Oh, 100%.
And so, yeah, I mean, like, identify what it is and then truly work on that thing. And maybe not try and distract yourself, but I would say find something that helps you process it better.
Have you tried getting a concussion? Maybe
dude,
just kind of reset your brain that way.
Fourth one for good luck.
It might. I don't know though. Getting another concussion, it might. It might be one I don't come back from.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh no. Let's not manifest this happening.
It's funny. I was about to say we're about to start an Achievement Hunter football league that we, no helmets.
No helmets?
No,
Perfect.
no.
We're also like we're banking up some episodes here, so like this isn't going to come out for a few weeks.
Okay.
So let's make sure.
This could be like a post-mortem episode. It'd be great, really get a lot of interest.
Film a pickup,
dude,
like
this
2
could be
weeks from
huge
now.
for us. I'm just saying.
Completely different clothes. It's just like, hey guys, just let you know, this actually did happen.
Yes, we're joking about it a lot, but it's a very serious issue.
Oh my gosh.
Well, could I ask too? You mentioned that it bubbled up in you, and it just kind of it happened. Like you got burnt out, and it affected you. How did you find you were able to bring yourself back? Like, were there any steps you took, whether it was like self-care or talking to people?
I would say it's the self-care part. Like, I definitely let myself go a little bit. I was kind of just not caring about me, and I was worried about everything else going on.
Yeah.
And I know not everyone can do this nor wants to do this, but we got a new puppy at the very beginning of this year. And
cutest little guy.
Yeah, he was supposed to be like basically my ESA, because me and my girlfriend, we already have 2 dogs that are her ESAs. And
it's an emotional support animal.
For those who don't know. And I've never really had one. And so she just figured it'd be a good thing, and it turned out to be a great thing for me. Like, although I was getting really frustrated really fast with a lot of little things that normally would just be like, it's whatever, like we'll figure that out, we'll fix that. It helped me focus. Like, it gave me something to focus on and really strive to be better at, and in turn that helped me kind of process everything else going on in my life and how to deal with that in a healthier way.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's kind of what helped me, but I think really it was just the thought process changing of, if I really focus on something and work on that, then it helps everything else. Like it gives me a little bit more perspective on everything else going on, and it helps me navigate all the things going on in my life.
That's a really good point. My also advice would be in the terms of like self-care, like giving yourself that time. Some people don't make time for themselves at all, and even if it's 5 minutes a day or like every Saturday you're going to do something for yourself, or like go to a coffee shop alone, or take a bath, or whatever it is. I know it sounds very stereotypical, like self-care, take a bath, put on a face mask, light some candles, but like do it. It honestly helps so much, and to just kind of separate yourself from the craziness and stress of life, to just focus on yourself and how you're feeling and connecting with yourself and kind of recentering yourself, even if it's just for a few minutes or a day or however long you give yourself. It's very important. But yeah, there's a lot you could burn out on.
I would say
tough.
the one thing that really helped me throughout my entire life of like with burnout or like having difficulty thinking about things with your head on straight is what you said, going out and doing things by yourself.
Yeah.
Like I had never done that before. I was always so scared, like socially anxious to do that. Go out and eat by yourself. Go watch a movie. Go to like an art exhibit or something.
Mm-hmm.
Like it always feels so scary, but when you're in that moment, you feel like you have so much clarity and you feel
it's just
happy.
You don't have to worry about anyone else.
One of my favorite things, we did Achievement Hunter. We did the Australia tour. We did at Achievement Hunter Live Australia tour. We played like Sydney, Melbourne, Perth, and then we actually went back out to Melbourne to do an episode of Haunter.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of time. It was just me, like it was me and the rest of the guys. But it was like, when I'm done filming, I'd be like, all right, I'm done for the day. We'd wrap at like 5 in the afternoon. I'd be like, I'm gonna go see a movie, and I just like wander, find a theater, go see something, and it was like the greatest thing ever.
It really is.
No responsibility. Like, all right, cool. Like I just have to, as long as I'm up by 9 a.m. tomorrow morning, I'm good. I can do whatever I want to do, and just go walk the city at night. It was awesome.
It's
I loved
also
it.
you don't feel in that moment like you're responsible to anybody else.
Yeah,
It's just
yeah.
like, what do I want to do? What do I want to see? What do I want to eat? Whatever it is. Because even if you're with your partner, your best friend, people your family, whoever, you do feel like, well, I need to be considerate of this other person and make sure that they're comfortable and happy and doing, what they want to be doing. But when it's just you,
Yeah.
do
So
whatever.
what do you love?
Yeah, it's a nice like little reprieve.
And of course, the thing is too, when you're with your partner or something, it's almost like they're thinking the same thing about you, and you get this weird spiral where it's like you're both trying to please each other.
Well,
and
do
then
you
it's
want to
like,
go?
yeah.
It's like,
Yeah,
well,
it's like,
whenever you want to go.
Yeah.
But do you want to go? I'm fine. But if you
I thought we
want-
were doing this because you wanted to. It's like, no, I did that. And it's like, why are we here? Why are we,
when two people pleasers meet.
Yeah.
yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, so all you got to do is just, if you, want to take some self-care, just go to Australia and then, film some shows out there and just have the night to yourself.
Join Achievement Hunter. Play a live show.
Get on the head.
Speaking of which, I need to schedule another trip out to Australia for Achievement Hunter so we can do that.
Australia is just the most beautiful place.
It's awesome.
It's
It's
so much fun.
Has everyone gone to Australia but me?
I've been a few
Hey.
times.
Joe,
Man,
there's still
come
time.
on.
I was there in December, as a matter of fact.
Man, come on.
Come on.
I was in Australia for 5 days. It was a family thing, and that was tricky. I'm going back though in May.
I would
so
do anything to be in Australia for 5 minutes.
It's pretty nice. 5 minutes, I would say
I don't know if you
not.
want to fly 14 hours to be there 5 minutes.
Well, hey, does flying over Australia count as being in Australia? If you're in Australian airspace,
Why would you fly over Australia?
I don't know.
Maybe to
get to Antarctica?
Fiji?
Nothing down there.
New Zealand, perhaps. I also think I want to point this out. You said something really, I think, important too. Is when you're burnt out or overworked or whatever it is, you are not the best version of yourself. And I think people who push themselves and they're like, well, if I don't show up to this or if I don't participate in this or do this, I'm letting people down. But if you are so burnt out to the point where you're not performing at your best or you're not able to contribute or be productive in any way, like that, I think is letting people down more in a sense.
There's a potential that you end up causing more harm than good.
Yes.
Because especially if you're working with people close to you, they don't want to see you hurting and in a place of feeling down or like you're just kind of lost.
Yeah.
And then you're only making yourself feel worse because not only you showed up, sure, but you're not performing the way you want to. And you're also kind of setting back your progress. Like you're not
Right.
letting yourself process things and move forward. And I think that that's a huge part of how to not deal with with burnout.
Well, it's certainly one of those things. Like with Achievement Hunter, like we're a tight knit group, and you can always tell when someone's off. It's like, okay, they're not having a good day today, and you feel some people might just like force themselves to be there. It's like, well, I have to be here. It's like, no. We'd rather you get healthy and then come back with a better,
In a good headspace.
like, yeah, exactly, as opposed to be like dragging yourself through something. So, yeah, you work with people long enough, and you start picking up on little cues and stuff like, oh, they're not having a good day today. Like, okay, let's not worry. Let's not shoulder too much
Don't
burden
push
on them.
it.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's a tough situation to be in. Everyone deals with burnout, and just take care of yourself. Self-care.
Self-care.
All right. Well, I would also love to get to this question that was written into the show. And if you have a question for us, you could write in at alwaysopen@roosterteeth.com. We'd love to hear from you. All right.
Email. Wow.
An email. I know, we're so old-fashioned.
Very old school.
Maybe we'll do a Google Doc.
Use your rotary phone to dial this phone number.
Dial 999. No, don't. Please don't. I don't know where that goes.
Is that a Canadian 555?
I don't know. I feel like that's 911 somewhere. Perhaps. Don't dial that.
Maybe that's the UK's 999.
We are not legally responsible if you call a number you're not supposed to. All right.
We said it, so it's true, you know. That's how it works.
That's it. Legally binding. All right, so here is the question for us. So I started dating a girl that I really like that I met on New Year's, and we really hit it off. We have been out a few times, but there is something I am struggling with. She is very, very anti-affection. Not only in PDA, but in overall stance. She hates when I compliment her, overplan dates, get her gifts, or do remotely anything that most people would consider sweet, with a few exceptions. We constantly hit it off with one another, but I feel like I'm having to retrain my brain so as to not embarrass myself with her. I'm very affectionate, and I like to give gifts, compliments, etc., but feel defeated when they are met with a laugh or an insult. She is vocal about how she feels about me, and it's positive. I just feel she has a different way of handling emotions compared to how I do. Additionally, I also know she has intimacy issues, and I worry that that may have to do with a mismatch in our love languages. I can't stress enough that I really do like this girl and can see a future with her, but I just hesitate to see if it's something worth pursuing or something to cut off before one of us or both of us gets hurt.
So this person is dating Wednesday Addams, is what it sounds like.
It's very possible. Shout out to the Wednesdays out there.
This one, I saw the question last night, and I was thinking about it because for me, it feels very reminiscent of things that I've personally dealt with.
Oh, really?
And
in past relationships?
Yeah, in past relationships.
Are you the Wednesday or are you the other person?
No, I definitely was the other person.
Okay.
I'm the guy writing it.
So
okay.
you're an affectionate person.
Yeah. I tend to think of myself like I definitely see physical touch and like quality time as like kind of my love language.
Yeah.
But I think it's really important for the person who wrote in that just sit down and have a conversation first, right? Like, I get that that's your love language and that's completely okay. And a lot of people really appreciate that. But I think it's important to know yourself in terms of how you like to show your love and appreciation,
100%.
but also how you want to receive it back, right? And if yours is the satisfaction of I gave you something, I did something nice to show my appreciation, and like you liked it, that makes me feel loved.
Right.
Great. But what's hers? Right?
Very, very important
What's your
question.
partner's? Because a relationship is always a balance, and it's always a two-way street. And I feel like the first thing that needs to happen is have a conversation, figure out if there's a compromise that you guys can meet, and what you can do to help your partner feel loved, but also that you're getting the same kind of feeling back, right? Because it's never gonna, love is never like 100% 50-50. It's not 100% fair all the time.
Sometimes you have to compromise.
Yep, sometimes you have to compromise, but don't sacrifice too much of yourself and change yourself to the point where you don't recognize who you
100%.
are just to please someone else because you feel affection or you feel love for that person. Because at the end of the day, then that's not the same relationship that had started off with, or like that's not the relationship that you know.
You're also not getting what you need.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like you need to recognize your own needs in a relationship, and it sounds selfish, but it's not healthy if you don't.
Right. If you're doing everything and changing all of yourself for someone else's needs, you kind of lose yourself in the process.
Yep.
Yeah. Let me say something controversial. I don't know if this is, this might shock some people, but communication is pretty important in a relationship.
What?
Yeah. And so
We never say that on the show.
I
What did
know.
you just say?
It's super controversial.
Communication.
What is that?
Who are you?
Is that a word?
It is. It's a class you take in college.
Did something fall on Joe's head again?
Yeah, let me check the lights. These things are strapped in. No, I mean, like, Joe, you're spot on. Yeah, exactly that. It's like, it can be not dangerous, but it become a thing where it's like one person carries the emotional burden of a relationship, and that can be overwhelming very, very quickly. And, and then at some point you cross a line. It's like, well, this is the rest of my life. I'm going to be like this the rest of my life unless you have the discussion. And explain, like, this is how I feel. Like, how are some ways that I can show you how I feel about you that you'll accept, as opposed to just me feeling like I'm bouncing stuff off a wall. Also, this is how
like I'm failing.
Yeah, it's like, and like, I want to know that you love me back, you feel for me back, and so please show me, like, here are some ways you can show me that you care for me, and just being able to have those communication lines open, like, that's so important. I mean, that's the groundwork for every relationship ever is communication and compromise, and so.
And it sounds like they're pretty early into the relationship.
Yeah, I mean,
so
New Year's, so not terribly long.
Yeah,
So it's like
month and a half, 2 months or so.
It could be something like maybe this person, like maybe she's, hasn't been in a relationship in a long time. She doesn't know how to act in a relationship, or ever. Yeah. And so, not that there's a way to act, but I mean, it's like, okay, take some time for people to warm up and kind of like, all right, now this is how it works. Like, sometimes they are very closed off, and it's like, man, I don't know if this is what I want. It's like, and then eventually they sort of blossom, and it's like, oh, yeah, I'm a different person around you because you make me happier. Who knows? I mean,
and they did say, that their partner right now, they know that they have some intimacy issues, right?
Yeah.
And so it's important, I think, to recognize, like, are you feeling the way you feel because of issues that you have, or issues that they have that they haven't quite figured out yet, or like been able to solve in their own personal life? And it's important to separate those things, right? Because not everything is like a cause and effect. Like, sometimes there's underlying like issues that need to be dealt with in order to move on to a compromise. So that comes down once again to communication, figuring out what exactly is going on and what exactly you can do in order to make it a healthy, balanced, loving relationship.
And that you could both get what you need out of it.
Yep.
And one more thing, I don't know how much time we have left, but I just want to say one general thing: couples therapy is awesome. Couples therapy is amazing. If you can do couples therapy, even you don't have to be in a rocky relationship. There doesn't have to be problems, but having someone there to kind of help you guys like work around. Like, I've been doing couples therapy for almost a couple of years now, and it's awesome.
I've heard nothing but good things.
Yeah. So if you have the ability to do something like that, go for it. It's great.
Even early on in a relationship.
Yeah. It allows you to be able to discuss things that you might not know how to traverse, and having a third party there that's impartial is so important and so great. So anyway, highly, highly recommend. I mean, therapy in general is great for everyone. Couples therapy is great for couples. So there you go. Throwing my 2 cents out there.
Couples therapy would recommend. I might have a controversial take on this, but I think if you are a very affectionate person, and that's kind of the way you show love, is PDA, gift giving, compliments, physical touch, like whatever it ends up being, and you're with someone who is very, very anti that, sometimes it's hard to find a compatibility in that sense. And I do agree with you guys of having that conversation, communicating your needs, and trying to find whether it be a balance or a compromise or whatever works for you two. But I do worry that if you are that way and that's how you show love, it's hard to pull that back sometimes.
It's like incompatibility is a thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, it's not ever as like black and white as people think it is.
Right. And it is a new relationship, so maybe she'll get more comfortable, or you guys will find a perfect balance that works for you, that you could both feel loved and affectionate in your own way. But maybe there is a situation where if you find someone who shares that love language, like, you'll find yourself just so much more satisfied and fulfilled in a relationship.
Like, naturally, right? Not like having to navigate this.
Or worry.
Yeah. Because like, it's always going to be something in the back of your mind if you're compromising with someone who is the exact opposite of you. Am I doing too much? Am I doing too little?
Yeah.
What can I do to make it the best it can possibly be? So
and if you're emailing a relationship a show, 2 months into the relationship, maybe that says something. That might be a little bit of a red flag.
Yeah.
Maybe like a pink flag at this point. It's like
a pink flag,
a light red.
Yeah, lightish red flag. So
no, it's very true. It's important though that you're being thoughtful about it, and that I do feel for the person who wrote in, because he says he really does see a future with this person and he really likes this girl, but. That also happens. It's a rose-colored glasses when you're in a new relationship.
It feels like an optimist versus, maybe not necessarily a pessimist, but someone who's like a little bit darker. Someone who listens to some emo kind of music.
Yeah.
I know your world might feel small, but trust me, it's a lot bigger than you think.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. Like, there's no point in hurting yourself or someone else further by trying to make something work that just doesn't work.
Bending over backwards to the point of snapping, basically.
Exactly. Just pay attention to your own happiness and your own needs just as much as you would your partner's, if not more. Kind of like with burnout, how it's like, if you're not happy with the way you are and what you're feeling, you're not going to make someone else happy.
Yeah, like you might feel selfish in the moment, but it's really not. It's just making yourself a priority because it all starts with you.
Yeah.
If you're not happy or you're not doing things that you want to do,
It's
like
tough to give.
everything else feels worse.
Yep.
Everything else feels kind of like off or a little sad or a little down, you know? So you got to make sure you put your needs first, or else everything else just feels kind of bleak.
Yeah. So have that conversation, communicate, see what could happen, how she feels about the situation, and maybe it's just time. Maybe it's just getting comfortable with each other. If you've only been seeing each other for a month or two, it might just be time. But all right. Well, thanks for the question. Thank you guys for your input.
Yeah,
I think that was
absolutely.
a very interesting one. And mentioned before, if you have questions for us on the show, you could email alwaysopen@roosterteeth.com. And if you're enjoying Always Open, please subscribe to us on podcast platforms. Come on over to the All Good No Worries YouTube channel to check us out in video form. We got some merch for the All Good No Worries brand. I'm wearing the hat right now. It's very comfortable and very beautiful. I would highly suggest. And thank you for supporting us. Thank you for being here. And tell your friends. All the friends, or even your enemies, whoever you want to tell.
Just shout it from the
Everyone.
rooftops.
Exactly. Thank you so much to the crew here in studio for making the show happen, and we will see you guys next week. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Hey guys, thank you so much for watching that episode of Always Open. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up and make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, All Good No Worries. New episodes of Always Open come out every single Tuesday, along with other shows every Thursday, so stay tuned.